Got some nice fresh bark for the bark tanning process. We'll be making some gator hides here pretty soon. Stay tuned. So what you got here is some oak, and what you want is this right here. You want the bark. This has the highest levels of tannins in it, and that's what tans hides, is the tannic acids. Here where I live, I don't have just trees that I can cut down whenever I want to tan something, but I do live in amongst a bunch of houses, and if I drive down the street, usually on any given day, I can find where someone had trimmed one of their trees. You can go ask them if they want it, if they're going to use it for firewood. Most people don't even use it for anything. The county just, or city just hauls it away when they feel like it. So I'll go around and pick up some of the wood, get the bark off of it, and then I use the rest for my fire pit. It's pretty easy. If it's fresh wood, it's a lot easier to get the bark off of there. Sometimes the time of year makes a difference too, spring or fall or whatever, but fresh usually is better, I think. Plus, fresh has the most tannins in it. Ones that have been sitting around drying sometimes have been out in the rain, so that rainwater will start to leach, pull some of the tannic acids out of the bark. So you can use a draw knife or just chop at it like this. I like to put a tarp down. So I can pick it all up when I'm done, because it's kind of messy. There's probably other ways to do it, but I like using hand tools. And finish this log off, see how much I have, and I might try to do a few more pieces to get enough for the solution. So we got some bark here. You can see already the tannins are starting to go into the water. Fresh bark. This water's not even hot yet, and that's already starting to get some tannins into it. But as that boils, it'll get more and more red, and it will be less translucent. This water will be less clear and more red colored, and that means there's more tannins in it. That's what we're looking for, the most tannins possible. We'll boil this once, get all the tannins out of it that we can, put it into another bucket, and then add a little more water to that same bark and get a second rendering out of it. Getting some oak bark tea ready for the tanning process. Taking the hide out of the lime ash solution, get it ready for the tanning solution. First I want to spray it off, get all this extra ashes off of here. As much as I can. I want to spray it down, blast it real good with the hose, and then after I'm done with that, I'll put it and soak it for a few minutes in some clean water. All right, so I got the hide soaking in some water here. You can see that the water's already kind of milky, cloudy looking. This is the first, I'm gonna soak it for, I don't know, give it like a half an hour or something. Soak it, slosh it around. I like to triple wash things. I don't know if it's necessary or not, but I just like to try to get as much of the ash out of there as possible. I feel like it will be a cleaner hide when I'm done. But you can also, I've put like Dawn dish soap in here and like some kind of soap in here to like kind of make it smell a little better in the process. You don't have to do that. It doesn't really stink that bad at all. But if you want to put soap in, you can. I'm just doing it this way to show that it is very well possible to do this process with just wood ash and bark. So slosh it around, rinse it out. This has already been in here like 5 minutes, and you can already tell that the water is getting a little more dirty, which means the hide's getting cleaner. I like to let them soak for a few minutes before I slosh them around a little bit more and go work on something else while this is happening. As you do this, you'll see that this is like, kind of feels like a little bit jello, but as you're doing this and rinsing this out, it'll get more and more like the skin was when you first took it off the gator, minus the scales. So we'll do this and then we'll get it ready for the tanning solution. So the first wash, dump it out, do it again. All right, the second wash, just fill it up with water. You can see, definitely not as dirty of water yet as it was the first time. It'll get a little cloudier, but like I said, I like to go 3 times on them just to make sure. All right, it's been soaking for a half an hour. I'll slosh around a little bit more. Sometimes I'll lay it down flat on the bottom of the tub. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but then just take my hand and kind of rub around that inside of that belly hide where the ashes are kind of sticking to it a little bit. Just kind of agitate it a little bit that way. Rub it, roll it around like you're washing out a washcloth. Squeeze it. The hide absorbs things, so you can squeeze it and get some of it out of there too. Anyways, do the third wash and then I'll be done with it. All right, so it's been soaking for another half an hour on the third rinse. You can keep going with the soaking if you want to try to get more of it out of there. It's not really necessary, I don't feel. You got most of the ashes out of there. You can soak it for longer if you want to. I feel like agitating the water does a little bit more than soaking, but soaking also allows that cleaner water to get into the hide a little more. I'm gonna show you another thing too here is it's not really, I don't think it's that crucial for my hides that I do, but you can try to scrape a little bit more of this off. It's like a membrane that kind of sticks to the skin, and it's really hard to get off of there. Even with a knife, it's really hard to get this thing looking like this. You're gonna have areas still that look like this. And I've tanned it, and it seems to go away. I will take the bigger chunks and try to just pull them off if I can. Like that's like a little thicker area right here. Just grab those. If they pull off easy, pull them off. If not, they seem to tan just the same as the other parts of the hide. You'll have these here too, these little tabs from the where it connects to the muscle on the back. You can trim them off. You can leave them, tan them if you want, and trim them off later. But yeah, go ahead and just take this out and let it drip dry for a while. I'm not gonna let it completely dry out, but just let some of that water just fall out of it. But get the tanning solution ready. Put my gator hide down in here. Try to get the better view of it here. So, got that down in there. And right here, I have that oak tea that I made. See how you can't really see my fingers through the tea? That's great. It means that it's more tannins in it. So as this weakens, it'll get more and more clear. You'll be able to see like your fingers through that. It shows you it's getting weaker. So kind of keep an eye on it for a few days as you do this, and you'll see it starting to weaken. When it gets kind of weak, a lot weaker than this, I'm going to switch it out. I'm going to add more of this solution to it. So go ahead and pour that in here. And you'll start to see how amazing it is, how fast this hide starts to change colors. But I got a little bit of bark debris in the bottom there. It's okay, I kind of want that. But you'll start to see this hide like change colors really, really fast. So for the first little bit here, I don't know, hour or so, I'm gonna come back in here and agitate a little bit. Make sure there's no folds in there that are not getting the solution like I want it to get. So that's there. I want that fully submerged, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these rocks back on here for now. Just to kind of keep it under the surface of that. I like the bigger tubs. You don't have to have huge tubs because then you have more liquor to try to fill it up, more of the tea. But you don't want it so small of a container you can barely fit your hide in. You want it loose enough where that hide can really absorb the tannins from that tea. Put one more rock right there. I'm gonna come back in like 5-10 minutes and I'll show you how much has changed. All right, it's been at least 10 minutes. Kind of got carried away working on my house, but go ahead, start pulling that out. See how it's already turning it like yellow, a little bit orangish yellow. The tannins are soaking into that. It's probably been about 15-20 minutes since I first put it in. But yeah, soaking it up. See here, that's where the gator hide's folded on itself. That's why you want to move it around a little bit, because you want that tannin to touch all of the surfaces of it. And the first part of the tanning process is the most crucial as far as moving it around, just to get the surface all looking as smooth as you can, or as consistent as you can with that tannin. So slosh it around a little bit. I'll come back and show you again here. Another half an hour, 45 minutes, hour, I don't know, something like that. Just kind of show you the progress of it. Been about an hour. Starting to soak up more of it. Again, before it's folded, not really getting it in there like I thought it would be, because it's folded. So make sure you slosh that around. Put them folds out if you can. Just see if I can see the whole thing here. Yeah, see? back in it goes. All right, another thing too is, see if we're losing any color. No, not noticeably, not yet, but you will. Next few hours, it'll start to be a lot less. All right, it's been like 2 hours probably since I checked it last. A little darker. It's an interesting spot. I don't know why it's not taking color. It might just, I've had weird spots before where it doesn't look like it's taking color, but once you are finished with the tanning process, it is tanned because you put oil on it and it'll change color with that tan color. So maybe that's some spots that are showing up here. I don't know, it's interesting. It is very interesting, like how some areas take it better than others. Even these white spots on these back of these scoots here, they're look really white right now. But I've done one of these before, and I'll try to go find that and show you what it looks like. But after you're done, after this goes through the complete soaking process of this multiple times, that goes away. So what do we got here? Still pretty dense color. It is sucking up some of the color, though, I can tell. I don't know if it can show it on, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I can tell that this is getting less. There's less tannins in this for sure, which makes sense because it's going into the hide. So we'll just keep this soaked. At this point, I'm just gonna leave it overnight. Check it again tomorrow, roll it around a little bit. Just make sure it's fully submerged in this solution. I might just take this, being I had the tail side up, I might just flip it down and put the inside of the skin towards the top here. We'll weight it back down. Ultimately, if I had enough bark and solution, I would just keep this solution in here and add fresh bark to this. And that fresh bark, the weight of that would keep that hide submerged. And all the tannins from that bark would still leach into this water as this is being depleted. But I don't really have a lot of oak bark right now, and I need to get some more. So until I get more, I'm just gonna put these rocks on it for now. I don't think it's gonna rain tonight, but the last thing I want is this to get diluted with rainwater. So I'm gonna put a lid on it. Now the rainwater can't get in. All right, mid-morning next day. See what she looks like. Oh yeah, looking more brown. It's getting there, turning tan. So here's a perfect example of missing a scale. This scale right here. Right on the edge here. Not a huge deal. I'm glad I didn't have it in the middle of the hide. I can scrape that off, especially at this stage. The tannins haven't soaked in very deep. They're turning the surface of the hide color, but they're not soaking in to the middle of the hide. You see here, I'm assuming that some of these marks are probably where the hide was all bunched up, kind of folded on itself. Still have these spots here. I don't know. I don't feel like there's scale on those. Just might be a spot that doesn't want to take the colors from the tannins right away. It's not a scale on it. Maybe those spots had extra salt in them still. I don't know. That's a interesting thing. I don't know. Might have extra salt now that I think about it. The spot on the tail is a lot less than it was. That was, remember earlier in the video, that wasn't near as red as it is now. So back into the solution. It's not a weak enough solution yet to decide to switch it out yet, so let's put it back in there for now. Still got lots of color in it. I'll check it again at the end of the day. Maybe slosh it around and move it around a little bit at the end of the day here. See what it looks like. That oak tea smells so good. Probably gonna have to make this a two-part video. I want you guys to have a little bit updated information, but I want you to have it as I'm doing it. And it's gonna be, after you get to this point, and a few days in, the hide doesn't soak up tannins as fast. It needs to go through pretty thick layers of skin here. So I'll do a sample test, cut into that in probably about a week. But yeah, it's coming along. I just like to agitate the hide, kind of like a washing machine. Just make sure that all the little places are getting the same amount of tannins in it. Sometimes I'll even squeeze the hide. The hide will hold certain amounts of liquid, so my thought is just give it a little squeeze once in a while. Kind of squeeze out some of that liquid, and then what it does is acts like a sponge and sucks up more of that liquid, fresher. 2 days later. Getting darker yet. Some of these spots that are still not taking the color, they're getting smaller and smaller. It's all looking a lot better, more even. Sometimes it just takes a little longer for certain areas to soak it up. Still not ready to take out of the solution yet. It's gonna be a while still. Probably have to do another 2 or 3 times in the same amount of oak tea, but it's getting there. You can actually feel a difference in the hide. It feels a little more leathery. It's got a little different texture to it. Put it back in. So yeah, the actual tea is looking, it's looking a little cloudier. It's probably some things from the hide are leaching out into the solution. But if you look at it, it is less red. It's more of a muddy brown, and it's a little more translucent. That tells me there's not a whole lot of tannins left in it. I'll probably let it go the rest of the day and check it tomorrow. And if tomorrow it looks like it's pretty much spent on the tannin level, I'll swap it out with some fresh stuff. All right, next day again. This really muddy, but look how much tannin's gone out of this. Could probably let it set for another day, but I feel like it's getting really really translucent, kind of clear, other than the mud, which is part of the stuff that came out of the hides. It's almost like it's fermenting, because look at these bubbles here. So I'm gonna take this, dump this out into a bucket and put some fresh stuff into it. Rinse this around. In a sense, you're like basically pickling the hide between the ashes and the tannic acids. All right, so I want to show you the difference between the colors in these. Look at this. This is the pretty much spent oak bark. See, it's not, the reds aren't really there anymore. It's kind of, this light's kind of hard to see. Maybe I can turn here. See how like brown and muddy that is? And if you come over here and look at this, look how red that is. Very, even if I stir it up more, look how red. That's what you want. You want more of that red kind of a color to it. That's really what the tannins are. This has already been diluted. It's probably, without having a scientific explanation for you, I'm assuming that it's just like little extra proteins and things that are leaving the hide while the tannins are being soaked into the hide. If somebody knows a better explanation than that and wants to correct me, go ahead. It's all about learning. I'm not an expert at this, but I don't know anybody else that is doing this method on gator hides, so I'm still learning as well. Yeah, I'd say that's spent. Put that in there. Here's what the hide looks like. I forgot what day we're on. It's either 3 or 4 days, but still looking pretty good. It's showing a little bit of like brown muddy color like that water was. And I think I've had this happen before where it did that. But once I put that new tea on there, that oak tea, that'll start to even get more and more red. But go ahead and put that back in there. This has been sitting around for a few days, so there's a little bit of mold growing on top of this, which I'm not too concerned about. I'll just do my best to scoop some of that out. Probably not going to get all of it, but taking a little bit off the top. Look at all this. It's all, looks like some remnants from that got cooked out in the bark. I don't know. Someone might be able to tell me that I shouldn't be rinsing the bottom out, but I feel like that's probably got some tannins in it, so I'm just going to dump it in as well. Slosh it around. Yeah, look how much better that looks. Real dark, rich, red, rusty kind of a color. It's awesome. It even smells like that oak even more than the other stuff did. It's got a like a it smells like leather already. That tannic acid. Let that soak until I feel like the solution is being even more diluted. In the meantime, I'll be cooking more of this down, because you're probably going to need to do this. My guessing is for this hide, I'll have to use this same amount of liquid at least. This is the second batch. I would probably do like 2 more batches, 1 or 2, probably 1 at the minimum. But the hide will start to slow down how fast it soaks it in. So you won't have to switch it out as fast or as often the more and more time that passes, because this hide has already started to soak some in. Right now, it's just what is already soaked in is there. Now you're trying to just really get that deep penetration of it. You want that hide to soak that into the middle of the hide, because the last thing you want to do is go through the process of tanning this and you think you got it all done, and you dry it out, you condition it, but the center is not fully tanned. It can rot in the middle and you won't know until afterwards. So yeah, just keep doing this. It's gonna be some waiting. It's not the fastest way to tan, but it's faster than taking them to a tannery, because it's gonna be like 10 months from the time you drop them off to the time that you pick them up. This, you don't have to wait that long. If you have the materials and the time to do it, you can have workable leather in a lot less time. Anyways, I'm gonna let this soak. I'll probably make this the end of the video, and I'll make another follow-up video to this showing the rest of it. I just want to get this out there so you guys can start on your hides and get them started, and you can have a piece of leather that's usable quicker. Hope you enjoyed it. Tune in to the next one's coming up. Thanks.